You know, we pray for things, we want them, we want it to be easy, and then we get mad at God when they're not. You know, just remember, don't pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. I think that you reflect on that when you lay your head on the pillow, things will begin to change. So Bruce Lee, don't pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. The first time I read it, I just couldn't get out of my head. Because most of my life, I'm guilty of praying for easy things. You know, and it's kind of funny because when we think of prayer, right, especially growing up, you know, the way I did, you know, in schooling and stuff, it's always like prayer was always something that like you just ask God for things. Like, you know, God, come on, man, I got a big game tomorrow. Just come on, can we win? Can we win the championship? I've found myself in that trap so many times in my life, and I still do. You know, I mean, I think we all do it. You know, we ask God for things like he's just this guy up there that just rewards us for anything we ask, right? Now, I'm not saying he doesn't answer a prayer, because I'll tell you what, when God answers a prayer, it's probably the most scariest thing in your life, right? You're like, holy crap, I just prayed for this and it worked, but why did it work? And I think a lot of times we tend to pray for rewards. Part of those prayers, I think, is because we want things to be easy for ourselves. We want it to be easy. And I think in today's age, there's a lot of influence out there how things are easy. Like, why can't I have that house? Why can't I have that car? Why can't I have an easy life like everybody else that I see, you know, when I'm doom scrolling on like a Friday night? Life was never meant to be easy. Now, it's easy for me to say that now at 43 because I kind of understand that. But when we come up through the system, the easier things are, the less we learn. I know that sounds stupid, but I think, you know, it kind of makes sense. If everything was easy and we were good at everything we did, where would the triumph be? You know, there'd be no reward for it. It's just like, I could just do this, I could just do that, I could just do that, I could just do this. And you snap your fingers and it gets done. But there's no process in order to achieve that. And I've been guilty at that for a long time. You know, I mean, I was the kid who laid in bed, who just prayed for straight A's. It's like, God, can you just give me an A? I got this big test, right? Just give me an A. And a lot of other dumb things, you know, throughout my entire life. And it really wasn't until I took some time for myself and went out into the world and just kind of absorbed, you know, whatever I could. Prayer was one of those things, you know, that changed. And it changed a lot for me because when I stopped expecting things to be easy and when I stopped praying for them to be easy, good things started to happen. It took a lot of time, but it kind of opened my eyes to this philosophy that I just read, this quote, you know, from Bruce Lee. And when we look back at our lives, what are we going to be more impressed with? Getting through a hardship or doing something that was easy? Some of the greatest memories that I have are getting through the toughest time. Sometimes when I go to bed at night and I say my prayers, you know, and I just sit and I reflect a little bit, our eyes begin to open and we start to learn a lot of things. And we start to learn that life is nothing but a test. I mean, it's the greatest game that could ever be played. The ups, the downs, the ins, the outs of it. So when we pray for things, we ask for things, and then we don't get it. So what do? We sit there and cry. We turn into little crybabies, right? We get mad, we pout, we act like a little toddler. I think the greatest test is how you are when you don't get something. When you don't get that thing you want, what kind of person are you? Do you change? You get angry? Because my prayers kind of changed throughout my entire life. You know, as a kid, you're asking for things. Even in college, you're asking for like some really dumb things. And then you get thrown out into the world and you're like, wow, a lot of these things don't actually happen that I asked for. So now what? You know, maybe there's reasons to it that I just don't understand. But I think when we take a step back and we realize life is meant to be difficult, but it's difficult for everybody in everybody's own ways, right? Because what one person has to go through, maybe another person doesn't. And our own struggles are all set up through the universe, that why they happen to us, what family we're born into, what struggles we meet along the way are all going to be different, right? They're all going to be completely unique to us in our own life experience. Now, we're going to share a lot of the common things, like, you know, heartbreak, a lot of that stuff that's just found in life. Like, you can't get through life without just experiencing a lot of these things. But I think the biggest test is how we approach them and how we get over them, and if we can find ways to keep it together. It's through those hard times that I think some of the best work we do is done. Why doesn't God, answer my prayers? I've come to realize that He does. But the way He answers prayers is in a way where you still need to learn more. The harder things we do, the more we have to share about it with others. We have a story to share. Nobody cares what it looks like from the top of the mountain. They care more about what it took you to get there. And I think prayer is one of those things where we tend to get it a little bit wrong. And I'm not saying we all get it wrong, and I'm not saying that everybody's right when they do it. But it's just kind of funny because when you switch that mentality and you go, okay, it's supposed to be hard. Like, this is supposed to be tough. Like, I need to squeal a little bit. Like, I need to have, that dinosaur chasing me before I need to get something done. And I think it's inevitable that no matter what you do in this life, it's all about what you're willing to give up in order to get. There's more to learn from the prayers we don't get than from the ones we do. And I think there's something about that. But we forget about that. And I think it's not taught too well, in our spiritual educations when we come up, because I feel like society just tells us that they want it to be easy for us, and it should be easy, and we get bombarded with how easy it can be. We pray for things, we want them, we want it to be easy, and then we get mad at God when they're not. I got it. Whatever you give me tomorrow, I'm going to deal with. Whatever you give me today, I'm going to deal with it. There's something in me I'm too scared to get out before I can have that. And that, I don't know how I stumbled upon that quote, quite honestly, or how it even came into my life. A lot of great quotes or a lot of things we read appear to us in our search for what we're trying to learn. And it's funny because you wouldn't associate prayer with Bruce Lee at all. And I think that's the thing that got me right off the bat, was like, man, you know what? This guy's got it figured out. Why am I going to waste my prayers on asking God for making things easy when I should be asking Him, you know what, God, give me the guts to get through it. Give me the guts to handle these situations. Give me the faith to take these leaps into the unknown. Give me the faith to follow my heart as far as what's true. I know it's not going to be easy. If faith is something that I wanted, you think it's going to be easy to find it? No, church makes it easy for you. Just go sit in a pew on a Sunday. Everyone's going to tell you you have faith because you're there. But nobody sees you when you're actually out of the church, wrestling with who you're trying to be and what you're trying to figure out in your own life. That's between you and God. Prayer should be something that is really kept between you and God. Because I think God knows. I'm just going to say that. He knows what you're capable of, but He's going to break you a little bit. He's not going to make it easy, because if He makes it easy, then you're never going to learn anything in your life. He's going to test you. He's going to make it hard. You're going to get into situations that you don't know, like, how you could ever get out of. You're like, what the heck? How could I be this dumb? But you're not that dumb. You're learning something. And the prayers I think we need to make more are prayers to get us through those moments. Not to ask for things, but to get us through and to keep us going. And then at the end of our day, I think we could look back on a life and go, wow, I can't believe I got through that. Man, if I'm lucky enough to be an old fart and sit back and look at my life, I know for a fact I'm going to remember the things, the hard things, the difficult things are the ones that I'm going to smile at the most. How did I have the faith to pull that off? How did I have the guts to go for that? Where did that come from? Why would I want to just keep going and going and going when it's harder and when it's tougher? Why didn't I quit when it was hard? Why didn't I just stay that easy path? Why didn't I just keep doing the easy things? A lot of the quotes that I want to share with you guys are things that have helped me along the way, and a lot of times have come in places and from people you wouldn't usually expect. I think the truth is the same. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a like because you liked it. Subscribe if you get some value out of this. And, just remember, don't pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. I think that you reflect on that when you lay your head on the pillow, things will begin to change. All right? Catch you on the next one. Remember, keep the faith.